Hi everybody, welcome back for the final part of The Guy by the Fence, the date. I couldn't really figure out how I was going to destroy the night other than being the most unpleasantest date anyone had ever been on. And I wasn't happy. I didn't want to be going on this date. But I did. Though the one thing I did do is I wanted to make sure I was dressed the way I was happy. So I did. I wore black peg leg pants that had a zipper running from the hip down to the ankle. They were my bondage pants. I loved them. Black Lorex shirt with a collar, short sleeves. And my favorite tie, which was silk melon colored and skinny. I had also my newest acquisition, which were Converse high tops. Unfortunately, they were a size too big for me, but I fell in love with these things from watching Rock and Roll High School. He showed up on time, and when he got out of the car, I was horrified. He was wearing Urban Cowboy. I hated that style. It was hideous. But thank God he wasn't wearing the pants and the big belt buckle. He was wearing dress pants and shoes. Please don't let anyone see me out with this guy. He opened the door for me, and as I got close to the car, he looked me up and down, and I was ready to get in his face like a rabid chihuahua. And all he said was, "Wow, interesting, very different." Okay, he didn't start anything, I thought, and I got in the car. He started driving. After a bit, I said, "Where are we going?" He's like, "We're going to a steakhouse. It's my favorite steakhouse. It's Big Barry's." I'd never been there, but I'd seen the commercials on TV. Looked kind of goofy, but whatever. We got there. Again, he opened the door, and again he opened the door to the restaurant. I didn't really believe in that stuff, but I wasn't going to get in an argument over it. He was older than me, raised up with different mores, so I just let that one pass. We got into the restaurant, and he had made reservations, which I didn't think anything about. I thought that was kind of odd. I didn't know you could do that with a steakhouse. But I'm glad he did, because within 15 minutes the place was completely crowded. Everything was going all right. I was trying to get him into arguments, but he was in a good mood and he wasn't going to let me bring his night down. That is until his food showed up, and his steak wasn't done the way he wanted it, so he sent it back. In fact, he sent it back 3 times. I'd never had that happen before. I was starting to feel embarrassed. I even made a comment. I was like, "Well, why do you keep sending it back? Why are you being so fussy?" And I got a little lecture about, well, I'm paying for it, so I want my food the way I want it. On the 4th time, they brought it back. And they brought it back, and it was right. He was happy. He ate up his food. I was happy that, thank God, we could get out of here. And I was surprised to see that he tipped the waitress. And I made a comment about that. I'm like, "You're tipping the waitress?" "Well, of course I'm tipping the waitress. It's not her fault the kitchen messed up my dinner." He's like, "You always tip the servers, unless they're the ones who have ruined your dinner." We got into the car, and he asked me where I wanted to go to the movie. Actually, what movie did I want to go see? I really didn't care. I'm like, "I don't know." "What about that new one? It's in the movies. It's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Looks good." "Yeah, it does look good. Let's go watch that." After the movie, which was really good, we drove back to my hometown, and we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts for coffee and donuts and talked about the movie. I was in a good mood. I completely forgot about being pissed off. And everything was going fine until he commented on my shoes. He said, "Your outfit really looks so cool, except for those big canal boats on your feet." In my book, rule number 1, you don't insult your date's clothes on a date. So I was annoyed again. After we were done with the coffee and I had stopped speaking, he suggested, let's take a walk down to the beach, work off the coffee and the donuts. Fine, whatever. We were walking and he's talking and he's telling stories and he's telling more stories, and I'm thinking, this guy is the biggest bullshit artist I have ever met. We did a turnaround at the beach, headed back to the Dunkin' Donuts to get to the car. We got in the car, he turns to me and says, well, do you want me to take you home? And I stopped, and I actually thought about the question. And I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be bored in my house. It was more entertaining listening to his bullshit stories than it was to sit in my room. No, let's not go back to my house. Let's keep going. All right then, he said. And we started driving. Stopping at 7-Elevens along the way to get more coffee and cigarettes, and me having to taste his favorite cookies, which were Entenmann's chocolate chip. They're really good. I said to him, you know why I've been pissed all night? No, I don't know why you've been pissed, but I have been wondering. It's because the way you asked me out. I said, you didn't ask me, you told me I was going out with you. I did? I wouldn't do that. I said, yes, you did. You told me I was going out with you on Friday night. And I repeated back to him word for word what he said. I am so sorry. I didn't know I said that. I was wondering why you were so angry all night. I apologize. I mean, I was nervous. I'll admit that. He's like, I was nervous. I hadn't asked anybody out in a long time. And I was a little tired, so I apologize. Please accept my apology for being so rude to you. All right, I accept your apology. It sounded sincere enough, so I did accept his apology. Hours passed by and we kept driving. Eventually 5 o'clock rolled around, we were back in my hometown and I wanted bagels. I was starving, so was he. But the bagel place was closed. We had to kill about an hour. He looked at me and he said, it's your town, where do we go? The only place I could think of that was open was the park. I said, let's go to the park. We don't have to pay for anything and we can just hang out there. Good idea. So we drove to the park, and while we sat around on the swings and played on the slide, he told me dirty jokes. He had pretty much kept me laughing most of the night, and now into the morning. And I thought to myself, this is the craziest date I've ever been on. Eventually the bagel place opened, we went for breakfast, and I finally ended up back at my home at about 10 in the morning. When I was looking back on the evening and the date, I thought to myself, I hope he calls me back up again, because I really did have a good time, even though I was trying not to. And 2 days later he did. And we went on our second date. And that one lasted for 22 years. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You have another one coming later this week. See you soon. Bye-bye.